Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. This is Brian Kapple with the Athens Real Estate Company. Now, I want to take a couple of minutes today. I want to go over some recent changes that just happened to the National Association of Realtors. It's from a class action lawsuit. I think the basic context of this lawsuit were some sellers, maybe out in the Missouri area and some other areas of the state. Or the country, alleged they did not have a clear idea at the time of the listing, the time their property sold, where the portions of the seller's brokerage proceeds were going. So a lawsuit, class action lawsuit, then came in play. National Association of Realtors just settled this, or at least made an offer to settle. It's in the billions of dollars. November, sometime around Thanksgiving, is when the judge is meeting to decide if this is a good idea or a good thing or not, and if it, obviously is representing the litigants in a fair fashion. So part of this settlement was to usher in, before the November hearing, was to usher in some changes to how the processes work for home buyer and home sellers. There's a lot more paperwork. People are getting used to it. We're really not even ankle deep yet with this change just happening this past Saturday on August 17th. It's good information to get out, though, because this is something that an informed consumer needs to know about so that they can hopefully understand that process a little bit. All right, so let's get into the rabbit hole real quick, talking about what's the settlement mean for home buyers? Well, off the bat, you're going to have to sign a written agreement. It's called a buyer's agency agreement with your agent. It is now a state law. So what you will get now is the Consumer Guide to Agency and also this written buyer's agency agreement. It's going to be a brand new thing. So folks that are sort of experienced buyers are probably going to ask a lot of questions why this is happening if they're not up to speed on these changes. So one thing to know before signing this agreement, a buyer should ensure it reflects the terms you have negotiated with your agent and that you understand exactly what services and value will be provided and for how much. So historically, sellers, brokers have agreed to do a commission split. Always been like that through the National Association of Realtors. Buyers, brokerages have known this, and this was always supposed to have been communicated to a seller. Also, it was always to have been communicated to a seller that the commission rate is negotiable and not set by law. Very black and white, okay? So with this new one, there is a possibility that buyers will be asked by a buyer's agent to help cover some of their compensation. That is the brand new part. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. All right. So let's talk about this buyer's agency agreement. It must have 4 components concerning compensation. They want to make sure that this is as black and white and as transparent and as visible as that's possible. Right. So number 1, a specific and conspicuous disclosure of the amount or rate of compensation that the real estate agent will receive, or how this amount will be determined. It wants an objective compensation, e.g., like given here, talking about flat fee, percent fee, hourly rate. And it's not open-ended. Number 3, a term that prohibits the agent from receiving compensation for brokerage services from any source that exceeds the amount or rate agreed to in the agreement with the buyers. And number 4, a conspicuous statement that broker fees and commission are fully negotiable, not set by law. Okay? These written agreements apply to both in-person and live virtual home tours. You will not need a written agreement if you are just speaking to an agent in an open house. The seller may agree to offer compensation to your buyer's agent. This practice is permitted, but the offer cannot be shared on multiple listing service providers. So you can still accept concessions from the seller, such as offers to pay your closing costs, anything like that. Nothing's going to change. The really only big difference is they are making sure that we, the realtors, are doing a good job of being transparent so that everybody involved in this transaction is completely involved and fully aware of what those expectations are. This required buyer written agency agreement is a game changer to the point that it's been a Zillow world per se, where we may get leads from Zillow, and then the buyer wants to see a house today. It's Monday. It's 1:21 p.m. and they may want to get into a house at 6 o'clock this evening. That doesn't really leave a lot of time to try to schedule a meeting or perhaps a Zoom call or a Zoom meeting or conference, whatever, to try to develop at least some type of client relationship before this meeting happens or the showing happens. I'll be quite honest. I would be hesitant to sign any type of written agreement if I did not fully trust the person that I am wanting to develop that client relationship with. I think it's safe to say that most people would agree that, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max into a meeting, both parties should have a good idea if they are both a good fit for that respective client relationship, right? So my goal, I want to try to meet you beforehand. I mean, even if it's just talking on the phone for a half hour so that you can try to get to know me and understand who I am, stuff like that. That's very important to me. So let's back up here. Let's talk about a home seller. What's this mean for home sellers? Well, I'm going to tell you what it means. All right, home sellers, here we go. You will still have the choice of offering compensation to buyer brokers. You may consider doing this as a way of marketing your home or making your listing more attractive to buyers. Your agent must conspicuously disclose to you and obtain your approval for any payment or offer of payment that a listing broker will make to another broker acting for buyers. Okay? So I am going to tell my seller agents quite a few times if that's going to happen and how that's going to happen, right? I think that is the main crux of that whole lawsuit, is quite possibly either the communication happened and it wasn't clear or thorough enough, or, maybe it didn't happen. I don't know. But I know there was enough there to get a class action lawsuit, and a federal judge agreed to take that class action lawsuit on. So the above disclosure must be made to you in writing in advance of any payment or agreement to pay another broker acting for buyers, and must specify the amount or rate of such payment. If you choose to approve an offer of compensation, there are changes on how this can happen. The seller can still make an offer of compensation, but your agent cannot include it on an MLS, multiple listing service. It's just like what I said for the buyers, right? It used to be a thing. If a seller gave permission to the seller's brokerage to offer 3% selling commission for a buyer's agent, we put that on the MLS. I could look at it. I knew that going into it. That's gone. Effective Saturday, that's gone. Pulled the plug on it. Your agent can advertise your listing via off MLS platforms such as social media, flyers, and websites. You as the seller can still offer buyer concessions on an MLS. For example, if you're wanting to offer concessions for a buyer to help a buyer with closing costs, right? As I noted, settlement practice changes will go into effect August 17th. At the end of the day, again, all we're doing is making sure that the consumer on both ends, buyers and sellers, are 1,000% aware of what they are signing, where the compensation is going, everything that's going to be happening in that transaction. Should have been happening before in a different format. Really, nothing's changed though. Okay. We've added a couple of new forms. That's it. It's up to me to be able to represent you on the buyer side and or the seller side in a form and fashion that you understand exactly what the forms mean, what the verbiage, defines, all that stuff. That's my job to you. So again, this is Brian Kapple. I'm with the Athens Real Estate Company. If you have any questions about this, if you're thinking about selling or listing, give me a call. It's 740-629-2513. I live in Albany, Ohio. I've lived in Southeast Ohio my whole life from Marietta. I cover a large portion of Southeast Ohio. I love it in this area. I feel like that I have become knowledgeable and I am learning more and more every day about this beautiful part of the state. So if you have any questions, or want some information on the services that we provide, feel free to reach out. Everybody, I thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate the likes that you have. And again, reach out for any questions. I hope everybody has a happy and safe Monday. Thanks, everybody. Bye.